Hey everybody, I'm Howard, and this is Otter's Retirement Corner. So I just saw on another YouTuber's channel, Buzz's Retirement Garage, um, he's been talking about his budget and how much he's saved. And we can't narrow that number down because every time he does a video, he kind of lowers it. So, but that's not what I'm going to focus on right here. I'm going to talk about my expenses, what I spend, and I'm doing this not to show anything particular about me, but to show the differences that exist out there. Several YouTubers do this, and I think it's illuminating, and I think it's good to talk about and think about and understand where you stand. So I'm going to do it the way Buzz did it. I'm going to show the categories exactly as he showed them, show what I spend for those categories. You can go over to his, I'll probably link a video of his so you can go over and look at his. And as a comparison, it's not so much just what we like to spend. It's where we live, our lifestyles, what we've saved, what income we have, how we've worked in the past, how much we've made in the past. All those things go into factor. All those factors go into, why we spend what we do. Certainly, I can spend less. I don't know that Buzz can. Buzz spends very little, in my opinion. Maybe doesn't have a lot of flexibility. Maybe has a little. We can always, eat less and, live someplace cheaper. But, it is what it is. So I'm going to go over mine very quickly and talk about, how I compare to Buzz, and then talk about how I don't compare to Buzz. Things I spend that he doesn't or doesn't have to. So these are his categories. I've taken out a few that I don't have. Very minor differences. And let me be clear here. Buzz is very accurate to what he spends down to the dollar. I could do that, except that some of the spending comes from my wife. She doesn't track it as closely as me and doesn't want to put up with me tracking it that closely. So these are very close. They're approximations. I know what she spends in total, so I can sort of back into a lot of these numbers. But take it for what it is. It's pretty accurate, pretty close. So my property taxes are $700 a month. Well more than Buzz. Buzz lives somewhere in Ohio. I live in Florida. These are going to vary greatly depending upon where you live. In California, people thought we had really high taxes, but they really weren't because the tax rates were low, because they were held in place with a minor increase allowed by law, but the cost of the house and the value of the houses were very large. So, it's a give and take. So my property taxes are $700. My homeowner's insurance is $400. That includes flood insurance. And these are monthly. Okay? Water is about $150 a month. That varies greatly from season to season. Right now we're getting a lot of rain, so I don't have to water my grass. I don't have to fill my pool. But we get several, 5, 6, 7 months where it's really dry. So I do a lot of watering, and I do have to fill my pool. Even if I'm not using it, you have to fill your pool so the filtering works. That's life, huh? Life insurance, my wife has a life insurance policy, I don't. We did that because she was still working and I wasn't, to replace her income for 2, 3, 4 years of it. She quit working. Now she's gone back to work part-time. We're going to keep that in place for now. We'll probably get rid of that soon. It's a term life insurance policy. It's a fixed rate that she got for 30 years. So she has quite a bit of time going on that. It's a good deal. We're going to keep that for now. Auto insurance, this is for all 3 of our vehicles. We have 2 cars and a motorcycle, $260 a month. Medical, this is my medical. That includes, my $185 for Part B, $225 for my Medigap plan, and what I spend out of pocket. So that's about $450 a month. My wife's medical, she has a ACA plan where she gets a subsidy. That subsidy will be going down very soon because of the new tax law. So what she spends, for her co-pays, we're guessing about $230 a month. That may go up, that may double. We're not sure where that's going to go. Cable and phone, again, my wife pays for these, so I just get estimates of what they are. This is a combined number. Maybe it's 225 and 75, something like that, so we pay 300. Car gas and maintenance, You can't just put gas in it. You have to change the oil. You have to get things fixed. We have two pretty old cars. Mine's almost 10. My wife's is coming in on 15 maybe. So it's not a lot. We don't do a lot of driving. So about $200 a month. Food, this says in and out. Okay, so let me be clear on food. This is how much we spend at grocery stores and restaurants. $1,600 a month. Understand that that includes things like napkins, paper dishes, cleaners for the house, you know, things that you don't necessarily eat. The majority, I'd say probably 1,400 roughly a month for food, and then the other odds and ends that go in there that we buy at those stores is maybe another $200 a month. It includes eating out, which we haven't been doing much of recently. We used to do it about once a week, and then, you know, that might have been $50, $80 a week. It's not a huge expense, but you know that's probably a big number for most of you, and I get that. You know, you don't spend that much, that's fine. That's the lifestyle difference. Our pet expenses, Otter and Juno eat some very expensive food. There's been a couple medical issues recently, so you know we're paying a lot in vet bills. But I think on average we may come down to 300, but it's about 350 now. Entertainment, and you know this one will piss off my wife because we don't go out a lot. We don't do much. You know, we originally had, you know, about $200-300 a month budgeted for that. Right now it's about $50 a month, and we may not even be spending that, but for now that's about what that is. Miscellaneous, you know, we're buying all sorts of crap all the time, especially off of Amazon. I'm not going to put an Amazon number up there like Buzz does because I've got some other categories that cover the things I buy from Amazon. So, you know, my monthly total, when I compare to what Buzz is paying, is $49.80. I think Buzz is about $3,800 a month, which about matches his Social Security, and that's his goal. You know, I don't have that goal. Understand, if I wanted to get some of these down, I probably could. We can probably spend a whole lot less on food, but some of these are difficult. You know, most of these are locked in. We can use less water and less electricity. And let me mention, in my electricity, $90 a month. Both our heating and our air is electric. We're all electric. The reason it's so low is because I have solar panels on the roof. I'd like that number to be lower, but you know, my electric bill this time of year would typically be well over $300 because it's so hot every day and we use an air conditioner all day long. So that's me compared to Buzz. But here's some things Buzz doesn't have that I do. I have a separate category for home maintenance, and by home maintenance I mean you know, any repair or maintenance item for the house. You know, we have to have the trees trimmed. We have a pool guy who comes out for $125 a month. Anything I have to fix, if electricity goes bad, something, you know, HVAC, you know, whatever repairs we have. This is not the actual spending number that I spent over last year because I just spent $9,000 for new tiles on the parts of the house where we took out some carpeting. But on average, that's my goal, is $500 a month based upon the price of my house. That would probably be just slightly higher than industry average, but home maintenance. I think Buzz breaks it out a little bit differently and shows capital expenditures. This does not include capital expenditures like buying a new air conditioner or a new roof. We've got a new roof, so hopefully, you know, that gets me through my life. Supplements, and when I say supplements, that's pills that we take. You know, all the you know, blueberry freeze-dried powder, calcium, vitamin D, you know, all those over-the-counter health supplements that we use. It comes to about $150 a month. I have a homeowners association. It's not a lot. I pay $80 a month. Clothing, you know, 195 of that 200 is probably my wife, because you know, other than new running shoes, I don't buy a whole lot. You know, when my shorts run out, I wear out. I buy a new pair of shorts every now and then. But I got, you know, 800 T-shirts that last me, so I'm fine there. Liability insurance, we have a $1 million blanket coverage. We pay $55 a month. I've talked about that in other videos. I've got a category here for softball. When I say softball, You know, most of my fees are paid by sponsors to get into tournaments, but you know, I have to buy gloves and bats and mitts and travel. So on average, I spend about 150 bucks a month for softball. For golf, it'd be a lot more. And then category Buzz doesn't have, because the only income he has is Social Security, except he has YouTube income. So you know, I'll let Buzz figure that out for you. I'm guessing he has to pay some federal taxes, but you know, we're going to fill up the 12% bracket. I can control my income because I don't have Social Security yet, and neither does my wife. So that's about $930 a month that I'll pay this year at most for my federal taxes. So my additional expenses are $2,065, and my grand total is about $7,045. Note that for travel, we had a budget of about $1,000 a month, 10, 12 grand a year. We thought we'd do some, you know, two maybe big trips, you know, somewhere around the world a year. We've had to cut that out because of the dogs that we can't leave alone. Again, you know, a sore point with my wife, but it is what it is. So we come out to $7,045 a month. $85,000 a year. That's going to be give or take here or there. We were much closer to 100 grand, you know, but because we took that travel out and entertainment, you know, we've come down a lot lower than we thought we would be. So give me your comments. You know, talk about Buzz, talk about me. Go over to Buzz's channel, look at his. Talk about other channels that do this. This is my life. This is what I spend. You know, the only income we have right now to cover this is my wife's part-time job, and you know, I'll be starting Social Security when I hit 70 in about a year and a half, and she won't start it for another 5+ years when she gets to 62. So we feel we're okay. This is very manageable for us. I'm not worried. I'm sure a lot of you are. Let's talk about that. Give me your comments about expenses and how you're handling it and what you think the future holds. And ask me any questions you want about what I do. Appreciate you watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.